For years, if you said tech hub, people thought of Austin, San Francisco, maybe Seattle. But right now, Atlanta is on top of the tech hub list, with lots of rankings and data to back it up. I'm Valerie Gonzalez, a top agent here in the city, and today I'll explain to you why Atlanta is becoming the tech capital of the South and what that means if you're thinking about building a career or moving to this city. Let's get into it. Atlanta's tech job growth is outpacing many southern cities. So let's start with the job market. This is where things really take off. Atlanta has more than 13,000 technology companies operating in the metro region. And I mean it, 13,000. Nashville is known for healthcare tech, Austin for software, Tampa for fintech. Atlanta, though, has all of those, which is actually what makes it different. And the growth numbers back that up. The CompTIA State of the Tech Workforce 2025 report projected a 1.7% increase in net tech employment, specifically in Atlanta in 2025. This translates to around 3,800 new jobs. Job postings for machine learning engineers surged 40% year over year, the single biggest increase of any job title. These are senior specialized positions that tell you companies are here to build long-term operations. Atlanta now ranks number 10 in the country for highest tech employment and number 10 for concentration of AI specialty talent. Speaking of which, we'll get a lot more number ones in just a minute. Stick around for those rankings. And the tech workforce here has a total economic impact of around $56 billion, which is pretty high. I would say what's most telling is the median wage. Tech professionals in the Atlanta metro area were earning a median wage of around $112,000 in 2024. So the jobs aren't just plentiful, they pay well. Atlanta also has a growing startup ecosystem to match. The city has produced multiple unicorn companies, privately held startups valued at $1 billion or more. This includes Flock Safety, which raised $275 million in March 2025 in a round led by Andreessen Horowitz, OneTrust, Calendly, Greenlight, Full Story, and Stored. So these are companies with real revenue and global customer bases, all headquartered right here. Southeast venture capital activity is also rebounding, with investors deploying $7.1 billion in just the first half of 2025, a 33% year-over-year increase. The capital is following the talent, and both are landing in Atlanta. And I'll also be talking about literally landing here when we talk about the airport and infrastructure later. I'm getting ahead of myself though, because none of this job growth happens without something behind it. And that something, I think, is the single biggest reason Atlanta is in a completely different category than any other southern city right now. Before I reveal what it is though, if you're a tech professional or a buyer moving to Atlanta, you might need some help. You really don't want to make that decision without talking to someone who's been selling in town for over 28 years. My contact info is in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's keep going. Georgia Tech gives Atlanta an advantage other cities cannot match. So every major tech ecosystem needs a talent pipeline. Austin has UT, Raleigh has NC State and Duke nearby, but Atlanta has Georgia Tech sitting right in the middle of Midtown, inside the city, walkable from corporate offices, connected to the Beltline and steps from MARTA. And that proximity matters more than people realize. Georgia Tech generated a record $5.8 billion in economic impact in fiscal year 2024, a 9.9% increase over the prior year, and the highest of any public university in Georgia. That's just one school in 1 year. The university created 36,705 jobs in fiscal year 2024 alone, and the 12,202 degrees granted that year represent graduates expected to accumulate over $44.5 billion in career earnings. So when a company opens an office near Georgia Tech, they're betting on a steady supply supply of engineering graduates who already have relationships with the companies doing research on campus. That's what Tech Square is. It's a 115-acre innovation district in Midtown with over 35 corporate innovation centers, 30-plus Georgia Tech labs and programs, and the CODA building with high-performance computing and research, plus accelerators that have launched some of the state's most successful companies. Microsoft, Google, major financial institutions, you name it. They have a presence there because they want direct access to what Georgia Tech is producing. And it's very accessible to get around here as well, but we'll talk about that later. In May 2025, Georgia Tech announced the relaunch of the Biltmore, one of Atlanta's most historic landmarks, as a new strategic hub for entrepreneurship in Tech Square, with the stated goal of making Atlanta a top 5 U.S. tech hub. So that's a deliberate institutional commitment to making this ecosystem permanent and scalable. Other southern cities try to attract talent from elsewhere. Atlanta, though, is one of the only cities in the region that actually grows it at scale right in the urban core. And that's a competitive advantage you can't just build overnight. But having the talent is only part of the equation. The companies also need space to operate and grow, and Atlanta has been building that infrastructure in a way that's pretty hard to ignore. Atlanta has more office space and expansion zones ready for tech. This is something that doesn't always make the headlines, but it's a real practical reason why companies choose Atlanta over other southern cities. The physical capacity to grow is already here. Midtown, West Midtown, Buckhead, and the surrounding submarkets have a ton of modern office space. That's super important when a tech company is scaling fast and needs to add hundreds of people without waiting years for a building to go up. Class A office space in Midtown is holding at around $43 per square foot. In Midtown alone, currently has 295 active leasing opportunities. Compared with Nashville or Tampa, Atlanta simply has more square footage available right now for teams that need to move fast. Since 2018, just 1 square mile of Midtown has seen 55 major development projects delivered, valued at more than $10.6 billion. This includes office towers, mixed-use buildings, research labs, and institutional spaces. New towers are still opening because companies keep signing leases. West Midtown is a good example of what this looks like in practice. The Star Metals District expansion will add 1.5 million square feet, including new towers, around 800 residential units, and 100,000 square feet of retail. Also, the Q1 2025 West Midtown submarket report confirms this corridor is one of the most active for new commercial leasing in the metro area. Then there's the data center side of this, which is, I'd say, one of the most dramatic parts of the story. Atlanta became the #1 market for data center leasing activity in the entire United States in 2024, dethroning Northern Virginia for the first time. And according to CBRE's Global Data Center Trends 2025 report, Atlanta is now the second largest data center market in the world by inventory capacity. In the world, total inventory tripled year over year to 1,279 megawatts by Q1 2025, with a construction pipeline of over 2,159 megawatts, more than double existing capacity. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Meta all have major infrastructure in the metro area. The available power, existing fiber networks, and overall business environment make Atlanta one of the most efficient places in the world to build and operate at scale. And that's not all. Georgia has been named the #1 state for business by Area Development Magazine for a record 12th consecutive year in 2025. That's the kind of consistent, stable environment that makes a Fortune 500 company comfortable committing $1 billion here. So the space is here, the infrastructure's here, and there's one more piece to why companies keep choosing Atlanta over other southern cities, something that has everything to do with how fast you can get anywhere in the world from here. Atlanta's transportation network makes it a natural tech hub. Tech companies think about connectivity differently than most businesses. They need to move people fast, bring in investors, fly teams to clients, and get to other major markets without a layover. You know how it is. And on that front, Atlanta has an advantage that is genuinely difficult for any other southern city to compete with. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport regained its title as the world's busiest airport in 2025, with 63.1 million seats across domestic and international services. That's the single busiest airport on the planet, operating nonstop service to 150 plus destinations worldwide. For a company headquartered in Atlanta, that means a team can get to New York, LA, London, or Tokyo with direct flights. Investors can fly in the same day. A sales team can cover 3 cities in 2 days without a single connection. It's a big part of why Atlanta wins those decisions over Nashville, Charlotte, and Tampa, all of which have good airports, but none of which come close to this level of global reach. Atlanta's central location in the southeast reinforces this as well. The city sits within a day's drive of 80% of the U.S. population, which makes it a natural regional headquarters choice for companies that need to serve the entire eastern half of the country. And within the city itself, MARTA is undergoing its largest expansion since the system was created, with nearly $1.3 billion allocated for direct connectivity to and around the Beltline, including new transit lines and infill stations. New initiatives include the Summerhill BRT line, the first new transit line in over 2 decades. For tech workers who want to live in town and commute without a car, the transit improvements coming over the next few years will make that lifestyle a lot more practical. So the infrastructure to move people in, out, and around Atlanta is there, and it's being actively expanded. But what's being built on the ground to make all of this investment permanent ties all of this together. The development zones show how Atlanta is pulling ahead. I think this is the part of Atlanta's tech story that doesn't get told enough, but it definitely should, and it's relevant to what we're talking about here. Reality is, Midtown continues to add new research centers, labs, and high-rise mixed-use buildings right alongside Georgia Tech. The 2 new towers opening in 2026 will expand the Scheller College of Business and the School of Industrial and Systems Engineering, adding even more research capacity within blocks of the city's biggest tech employers. West Midtown and the area near Howell Station are becoming their own version of an innovation district, with adaptive reuse projects, new offices, and modern industries moving into spaces that were industrial corridors not that long ago. And the Beltline connects all of it. The trail network reached 13.6 completed miles in 2025, with an additional 4.4 miles under construction that will bring the system to 16.7 continuous miles by June 2026. Old Fourth Ward, Inman Park, West Midtown, Ponce Highland, all of these neighborhoods have seen significant investment because of the Beltline proximity. And we have more rankings to talk about. Site Selection magazine ranked Atlanta number 3 on its North American Emerging Tech Hubs Index, behind only the DC Metro and Dallas-Fort Worth areas. And Georgia was named the number 1 tech hub by Business Facilities magazine for 2 consecutive years. So I'd say what ties all of this together is that people are noticing all of this. Influx of relocation from Seattle, California, and New York is happening because the careers are real and the neighborhoods are genuinely livable. The quality of life here, the food scene, the Beltline, the airport access, and the in-town walkability are all competitive with any major city in the country at a cost of living that is roughly 42% lower than San Francisco. So a tech professional earning a strong salary here isn't making a lifestyle sacrifice like living in other areas might mean. People are making a strategic decision, and more of them are making it every year. Atlanta didn't become a tech capital by accident. Georgia Tech was already here, producing engineering talent at scale inside the city. The infrastructure culture and the business environment made it easy for the world's largest companies to commit. So if you're serious about moving, investing, or selling here, I'd love to have that conversation with you. I have the experience to tell you exactly which areas will benefit most from what's happening right now. Reach out at hello@vcgrealty.com today and let's chat. And before you go, watch this video right here. I'll reveal the right and wrong spots for different kinds of people moving here this year. Don't miss it. Thanks so much for watching. See you at the next one.